We don't have all day for this. I've got lunch plans. Sophia Whitmore, 23, isn't asking permission. Her phone stays in her hand, one leg draped over the other, addressing the courtroom like she's reviewing a restaurant menu. Judge Frank Caprio places his pen on the desk with deliberate care. Ms. Whitmore, you're in a court of law, device away, face the charges. I showed up, didn't I? Isn't that what matters? Her lawyer, Robert Chen, rises before she finishes. Your Honor, my client is ready to settle all outstanding fines immediately and close this matter. Mr. Chen, take your seat. We don't process justice like online checkout. The statement arrives without volume, but it carries weight. Robert Chen wavers, then lowers himself back down. Caprio taps once with his pen. Officer Banks, confirm the body cam audio is ready to play. Ready, Your Honor. Excellent. Subscribe if you've been following Judge Caprio. This one's about to get tense. The clerk moves forward. Case number 2410847. The Commonwealth against Sophia Marie Whitmore. Violations include unlawful occupation of disabled and van-accessible parking, destruction of official citation, 3 failures to respond to court summons, contempt for previous absence, citation written by Officer Maya Torres, Parking Enforcement Division, Wednesday morning at 9:42. Caprio leans into the bench. Ms. Whitmore, were you aware of the 3 summons documents sent to your home address? My assistant deals with the mail. That wasn't my question. Were you aware? I think so. You think so? Ms. Foster, do we have proof of delivery? The clerk nods. Affirmative, Your Honor. 3 certified mailings, each one signed for at the defendant's listed address. Caprio flips to another page. There's also a notation from campus security. Prior incident at Brown University 14 months back. Ms. Whitmore blocked a delivery zone for more than 60 minutes during a catering event. Not criminal in nature, but relevant for establishing behavior patterns. Ms. Whitmore, what was your involvement in that situation? Sophia lifts one shoulder. I don't recall. Probably wasn't a big deal. According to the report, you informed the attendant that your family donated the library. That's not being used to punish you today. It's being used to show consistency. Robert Chen tries once more. Your Honor, my client recognizes she could have managed this situation more appropriately. She's prepared to resolve all financial obligations right now. Mr. Chen, writing a check doesn't demonstrate understanding. It demonstrates access to a checkbook. I need clarity on what actually occurred. Ms. Whitmore, take me through your Wednesday morning. Sophia breathes out sharply, visibly irritated. I pulled up outside a pharmacy on Hope Street. I was in there for maybe 10 minutes. I came back out and found a ticket stuck to my windshield. I ripped it up. Didn't think it was legitimate. You occupied a space designated for disabled persons with van accessibility. Nobody was in it. That's not the issue. You parked in a clearly marked zone with the international accessibility symbol and diagonal striping. Is that accurate? Yeah, but it was sitting empty. No harm done. Ms. Whitmore, harm doesn't require a collision. It's about access being taken away. Let me share one sentence from a written account filed by Emma Richardson, a mother who arrived at that pharmacy at 9:51. The ramp wouldn't deploy. My daughter lost her scheduled therapy time. Sophia flicks her hand dismissively. That's not on me. She could have found another spot. Robert Chen objects. Your Honor, we're adding emotional narrative that isn't relevant to the citation itself. Counselor, access denial is the core of the violation. Ms. Richardson's daughter uses a wheelchair. She couldn't enter the building because your client blocked the only van-accessible zone in the lot. That's not emotional framing. That's documented harm. Caprio shifts his attention to the uniformed officer near the side wall. Officer Torres, please read your incident report for the record. Officer Maya Torres steps forward with measured composure. At 9:42 in the morning, I observed a silver luxury vehicle occupying a van-accessible space outside Hope Street Pharmacy. The zone was clearly marked with proper signage and diagonal access striping. The vehicle displayed no disabled placard or specialty plate. I issued a citation and secured it to the windshield. At 9:53, I observed the driver, later identified as Sophia Whitmore, exit the pharmacy, remove the citation from her windshield, tear it into pieces, and drop them on the sidewalk. I made contact and informed her of the violation. She responded with, "This is absurd. Do you have any idea who I am?" When I explained the citation was valid, she said, "Then write me another. My family bankrolls this city." Caprio pauses. Officer Torres, did you interpret that remark as an attempt at intimidation? Yes, Your Honor. Sophia shifts forward. That was sarcasm. I was frustrated. Let's hear it ourselves. Officer Banks play the body cam recording, just the exchange in question. Static crackles briefly. Then Sophia's voice cuts through, sharp and condescending. My family bankrolls this city. Caprio allows the silence to expand for several seconds. Ms. Whitmore, your father is Marcus Whitmore, the founder of Whitmore Industries. Correct. That's right. And your family has made substantial philanthropic contributions to Providence, including municipal development projects. Correct. Yes. When you stated, my family bankrolls this city, what did you intend to communicate? I was saying we contribute to the community. Officer Torres, what did you understand her to mean? I understood it as leverage, Your Honor, an implied threat tied to writing the citation. Sarcasm doesn't deploy wheelchair ramps, Ms. Whitmore. Caprio turns to the clerk. Ms. Foster, were there any communications directed at this court before today's proceeding regarding this case? The clerk consults her log. Yes, Your Honor. 2 phone calls and 1 voicemail, all originating from a number registered to Whitmore Industries Donor Relations. Timestamps. First call placed at 10:18 in the morning. Second at 10:47. Voicemail recorded at 11:12. Additionally, an email arrived from a civic philanthropy liaison at 10:52 referencing a quiet resolution. Read the email into the record. The clerk reads aloud. Subject line, Case 24-10847 Resolution Inquiry. Message body, we're aware a citation was issued this morning to a member of the Whitmore family. Given the family's long-standing investment in municipal programs, we'd appreciate the opportunity to discuss resolution options quietly and efficiently before formal proceedings continue. Please reach out at your earliest convenience. Robert Chen is standing. Your Honor, my client bears no responsibility for communications sent by her family's foundation. This is immaterial. Overruled. Attempts to influence process are material when documented. I'm not alleging criminal activity. I'm establishing facts on record. Sophia adjusts her position. I didn't tell them to call. Perhaps not, but someone believed it would make a difference. Let's review the timeline. Citation issued at 9:42. First call from Whitmore Industries at 10:18. That's 36 minutes. Email sent at 10:52. Someone moved quickly. Caprio glances at the clerk again. Is Ms. Emma Richardson available to provide testimony? She is, Your Honor, by phone. Put her on. A woman's voice fills the speaker, calm but carrying strain. Thank you, Your Honor. My daughter lives with cerebral palsy. She attends physical therapy twice weekly. Wednesday was essential. We arrived at the pharmacy at 9:51 to collect her medication before therapy. The van-accessible space was occupied. I couldn't lower our side entry ramp. By the time we located another space and made it inside, we'd missed the first 20 minutes of her session. The therapist had to reschedule. Access is infrastructure. It's not negotiable. Sophia mutters something under her breath. Caprio catches it. Ms. Whitmore, if you have a comment, make it audible. I said it was only 10 minutes. 10 minutes is a therapy window, Ms. Whitmore. Ms. Richardson, your testimony is recorded. Thank you. The line disconnects. Caprio lifts another document from the bench. Ms. Foster, these are the 3 summons notices mailed to Ms. Whitmore's residence. Can you verify delivery? Yes, Your Honor. First notice sent October 2nd, signed for October 4th. Second notice sent October 16th, signed for October 18th. Final notice sent October 30th, signed for November 1st. All 3 were signed either by S. Whitmore or on behalf of S. Whitmore. Sophia's jaw tightens visibly. My assistant handles signatures. But you were aware these documents arrived, correct? I don't review every single piece of mail. Ms. Whitmore, 3 certified mailings across 4 weeks. That's not an oversight. That's a pattern. Robert Chen stands again, this time more carefully. Your Honor, considering the Whitmore family's significant role in municipal philanthropy, we respectfully request that the remainder of this proceeding be moved off the public calendar. Public exposure could complicate ongoing civic partnerships unnecessarily. Mr. Chen, transparency is fairness. We're staying on record. Caprio fixes Sophia with a calm, unwavering stare. I'm going to ask you 3 yes or no questions. Did you park in a disabled and van-accessible space without proper authorization? Yes. Did you tear up the citation and dispose of it? Yes. Did you disregard 3 summons notices? Sophia hesitates. I didn't think they mattered. That's not a no. Did you disregard them? Yes. Your Honor, this is ridiculous. Sophia's voice rises sharply. My family has poured millions into this city. We fund entire programs. We support infrastructure. You wouldn't have half your operating budget without us. Ms. Whitmore, donations don't purchase immunity. They should earn some consideration. Do you understand how much my father invests in municipal operations? Your salary comes from taxpayers like us. Robert Chen stands immediately. Your Honor, my client is. I owned you. The words suspend in the air. 5 seconds, 7, 10, 12. That was the instant money, lost jurisdiction. Nobody moves. Nobody speaks. Sophia stares at the bench, comprehension arriving too late. Robert Chen's face drains of color. Officer Torres stands motionless near the wall. Then Caprio speaks, his voice quiet. Ms. Whitmore, you own nothing in this courtroom. Not the process, not the outcome, not me. Here's my ruling. The evidence supports every charge filed. Officer Torres' report is credible and corroborated by body cam audio, fixed lot camera photographs, the destroyed citation, 3 delivery-confirmed summons notices, and the documented timeline of foundation calls and emails. Ms. Whitmore parked in a disabled and van-accessible zone, denying critical access to a family with mobility requirements. She destroyed an official citation. She ignored 3 summons notices across 4 weeks. She invoked her family's financial contributions in a manner Officer Torres reasonably interpreted as intimidation. Caprio pauses deliberately. This court doesn't weigh cases based on wealth, donations, or foundation contact attempts. Borrowed money doesn't create borrowed authority. Ms. Whitmore, your family's philanthropy doesn't grant you ownership over public process. Your status doesn't erase harm. Access isn't something to auction. He turns another page. I also note the prior campus advisory. That advisory was educational, not punitive. You were informed once that loading zones have purpose. You chose not to internalize that lesson. Consequences teach what privilege concealed. The base fines total $750. Unlawful use of disabled space, $300. Contempt for failure to appear, $300. Administrative processing fees, $150. Sophia exhales sharply. Caprio raises one hand. I'm not done. I'm suspending a portion of that total, $400, contingent upon your complete and punctual fulfillment of a restorative accountability plan. Complete it, and that portion is forgiven. Fail to complete it, and it's reinstated. You'll pay the full amount. Here's what the plan requires. First, written apologies to Officer Maya Torres and Emma Richardson, not template letters drafted by your family's public relations team. Genuine apologies that identify what you did and what you've learned. You'll deliver them in person if both individuals agree to meet. If either declines, you'll mail them, and the court will confirm receipt. Second, 150 hours of community service divided between two organizations. 75 hours at the Rhode Island Food Bank. 75 hours at the Mobility Access Coalition, assisting with accessibility evaluations and community outreach. Both organizations will submit attendance records to the court. No press releases. No photo opportunities. Third, you'll write and record 2 public service announcements for school distribution, both reviewed by the court, addressing access equity and the distinction between charity and entitlement. Fourth, you'll complete a donor influence ethics module covering the separation between philanthropy and public process. Certification of completion will be filed with the court. Fifth, you'll submit a 900-word written reflection on the topic of money versus authority, not corporate slogans drafted by a communications team. Plain honesty in your own voice. Caprio sets his pen down carefully. Mercy isn't a discount, it's a contract. Additionally, I'm making the following recommendations on record to the Municipal Court Administration and the Office of the Mayor. 1. Establish an ex parte influence log for all cases. Any off-record communication attempts, including from donors or their representatives, will be documented and published weekly. 2. Create a donor contact firewall with mandatory disclosure. Any case involving a defendant whose family has made substantial municipal donations must be flagged, and any contact from donor-related entities must be disclosed immediately. 3. Implement mandatory supervisor cosign and recusal protocols. If any court staff member is contacted by a donor representative regarding a pending case, that staff member must recuse themselves or obtain supervisor authorization. 4. Develop disabled space tow-first escalation. Unauthorized vehicles in van-accessible zones should trigger immediate tow protocols to minimize access denial. 5. Create a municipal public service announcement series on access rights, featuring real testimony from families who depend on accessible infrastructure. 6. Launch a clerk hotline for influence attempts. Any effort to leverage donations, connections, or wealth can be reported anonymously. Every report will be investigated. Subscribe for Judge Caprio. This model protects the system. Over the following 12 weeks, Sophia completes the plan piece by piece. Week 1, she drafts the apology. The court rejects it too polished, clearly written by someone else. She tries again using her own words. Better. Officer Torres agrees to meet her at a coffee shop near the courthouse. The conversation is brief, uncomfortable, and necessary. Torres tells her plainly, "When you said your family bankrolls the city, you made me feel like my job could be bought. It can't be." Emma Richardson accepts the written apology but declines the in-person meeting. She sends an email to the court. "She acknowledged what she took from us. That's sufficient." Weeks 2 through 10. Sophia logs 150 hours across both organizations. At the food bank, she sorts donations, stocks shelves, and helps with distribution coordination. No press coverage. No cameras. One volunteer coordinator tells her, "Service isn't about who watches you do it." At the Mobility Access Coalition, she assists with accessibility evaluations at local businesses, learns how ramp slopes and door clearances are measured, and coordinates community outreach visits. One wheelchair user tells her directly, "Access isn't a favor, it's a right." Week 9. She records the public service announcements. The first drafts are too scripted, too corporate. The court sends them back. She records them again more plainly. No branding, no family mentions, just her voice and the facts. The second versions are approved. The donor influence ethics module takes another 3 weeks. She completes it without objection. The ledger is straightforward. 150 hours logged, 2 PSAs approved, 1 firewall established, 1 entitlement interrupted. Officer Torres tells the court she appeared every time. That counts. Subscribe if you're over 50 and miss Judge Caprio. Should every wealth-based intimidation case include mandatory service? Let us know below. 12 weeks after the initial hearing, Sophia returns to court. This time she arrives alone. No attorney, no family representative, no entourage. Caprio reviews the submitted materials. The apologies, the service logs, the PSA recordings, the module certificate, the written reflection. "Ms. Whitmore, I've read your reflection. I want to hear you summarize it in your own words. No preparation." Sophia stands. "I believed money meant access. I believed because my family donated to programs, I could park wherever suited me, ignore citations, skip court dates. I believed we fund this translated to I own this. I didn't understand that public office isn't purchasable. It exists for service." She pauses. "When I told you I own you, I was wrong. I don't own anything except my own decisions. Money can construct a library, but it can't buy exemption from blocking someone's ramp. I blocked Ms. Richardson's daughter from reaching therapy. I told Officer Torres her job was for sale. Both actions were wrong." What did you learn from Officer Torres? That public servants aren't employees of my family's foundation. They serve the community, not individual donors. When I used our donations as leverage, I attempted to corrupt that relationship. What did you learn from the Mobility Access Coalition? That accessible parking isn't about convenience. It's about measurements, ramp slopes, clearance widths, transfer zones. When I blocked that space for 10 minutes, I didn't just inconvenience someone. I denied them access to medication. Time is infrastructure. Caprio nods once. You stopped trying to own the system and started learning to respect it. He signs a document. I'm remitting $350 of the suspended portion. You still owe $400 total. You'll pay it in installments over 6 months. The court will monitor compliance. As a reminder, Ms. Whitmore, access is not for auction. Thank you, Your Honor. Don't thank me. Thank the people who taught you what I couldn't. 5 months later, the policies take root. The court publishes its first ex parte influence log. 3 donor-related contact attempts are logged in the first month, all handled transparently under the new firewall protocol. Court staff report feeling protected by the disclosure requirements. The donor contact firewall is adopted across all municipal courts. Cases involving significant donor families are flagged automatically. Supervisor cosign protocols are implemented without incident. Disabled space tow-first escalation is adopted citywide. Average clearance time for unauthorized vehicles drops by 47%. Complaints from wheelchair users decrease significantly. The Municipal PSA series launches, featuring testimony from families who rely on accessible infrastructure. Sophia's recordings are included, distributed to 31 schools. They're not viral, they're not celebrated, but they're used, and that's sufficient. One parent emails the court. My son watched the PSA about van-accessible spaces and asked why people block them. We had a real conversation about access being a right, not a privilege. Thank you. On a quiet Friday afternoon, Caprio finishes his last case of the week. Before leaving, he writes a single principle on a note card and pins it to the bulletin board behind his bench. Public offices are not for sale, they are for service. He thinks of Sophia Whitmore, of Officer Torres standing in a parking lot with someone's wealth thrown in her face, of Emma Richardson's daughter waiting in the van while therapy minutes vanished. He turns off the light and locks the door. Dramatization for storytelling and education, not legal advice or reporting.